Well, welcome to Wisdom and Knowledge. I'm your host, Dr. Terry Warren, and I am so excited today. We have an incredible guest, and her name is Erin Weidemann, like vitamin, and because the way it's spelled, it looks German. And she is the author of a new book that I've just read recently, and I absolutely love and want to get in the hands of my grandchildren. But Erin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Terry, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, you have quite a story. And, you know, we believe behind everybody and everything that everybody does, there's a story. Something happens in their life that causes them to do what they do. And you've been through what, you know, I would say is unsurmountable odds and survived. It's in this day and age with cancer, most people don't survive it. As a matter of fact, if you knew the statistics, it would probably scare you because only 1.5% of the people who get cancer make it. That's a very, very low number. Not only did you make it through one, but you made it through 5. And Erin, tell us about what happened.
I think, for me, my story really begins before my diagnosis. After college, I went into the world of finance and thought that was what I was meant to do, and just was really driven to make a lot of money and just be focused on the things of this world. And my diagnosis happened when I was 26, and it was just the most unbelievable shock. It rocked me to my core, and it caused me to really evaluate and reprioritize the things that I was focused on in my life. So at 26, I went back to school. I felt God calling me into the world of teaching, so I became an educator and have taught the last 7 years, which I'm so excited about. But I think that struggle for me and just the realization of what is my path and where should I be going, Lord, and how can I listen for your voice and be guided in the direction you want me to go? So it was a very rocky road and a lot of challenges, a lot of medical challenges, a lot of just, evaluating my personal life and emotionally and just where I wanted to be. And I'm very thankful to be here talking with you about all of this.
Well, you've written an incredible book. It's called The Adventures of Rooney Cruz, and the first book is Hannah, the Bell of Prayer. What inspired you to write this book?
So, I mean, if you're a girl, and even if you're a grown-up girl, you are very familiar with the world of girls and what it is to be a girl in today's world. And it is a struggle. It's a struggle of insecurity and self-doubt and worthlessness at times and just really dark, emotionally heart-wrenching feelings at times. And it's a really difficult world to navigate for a girl. So this story and this series was birthed out of just a deep-seated personal desire to help the next generation of girls deal with all of the struggles and challenges that they're receiving from the world in modern day. So that's really where it came from.
Well, I know that the subject is prayer, and I must ask you, the experience that you had with the cancer, I know that you had to be praying. Is that kind of what encouraged you to do the issue of prayer?
Definitely. I mean, to start off, I struggled through my disease and through just the battling back through these dark moments of life, being 26, being so young and feeling just lost in my life and unsure about what God would have me do. There was a moment during my treatment where I just broke down and I asked the Lord to help me. And I had spent many, many years before that ignoring his affection and ignoring his love for me and just his wanting to take care of me. So once I turned that on and really established a communicative relationship with him and started to just share and open up my life to him is really when everything changed for me. So I think just that piece of prayer and that open, honest communication, today's girl doesn't want to share her feelings. That's a hard lesson to learn for girls. We feel a lot better bottling up some of those emotions inside and not being willing to share. So that was a hard lesson to learn as an adult. And now that I think about the girls that we're aiming to help, that's definitely close at hand, is that prayer piece.
Now, it's The Adventures of Rooney Cruz. Who is Rooney Cruz?
Rooney Cruz is just your regular 9-year-old modern day girl. She was named after our My husband is here with me, our actual daughter, Rooney, who is a baby. But Rooney in our book series is just, a modern day girl. She's struggling through the same problems that girls struggle with today. Those feelings of doubt and of insecurity and the constant struggle of where do I measure up and do I feel beautiful and why did God make me this way, and just those feelings of confusion that plague girls has been something that we have as a group struggled with for since it began, since the world began. So Rooney is just a way for today's girl to connect with the stories of the Bible, and specifically the stories that contain a superhero woman of the Bible, because today's girl, the fact of the matter is today's girls need heroes.
Absolutely. And so how did you select Hannah?
So Hannah came, actually it's a funny story. So as we were, thinking about what to get our niece Hannah, probably 4 years ago for her birthday, my husband and I are in the car on the way from church, and we're talking about some ideas for her, and just could not figure out a gift that was going to mean anything. We didn't want to go to the store and just get her another toy, so we thought, her name's Hannah. Wouldn't it be so great if I rewrote the story of Hannah from the Bible? She could know she shares her name with this great godly woman and learn about how to, fight a battle and a struggle in her life on her knees in prayer. And my husband illustrated the book. I wrote the book for her. We packaged it up and made her this gorgeous, well, I call it gorgeous, but it was, a primitive version of this book. And we gave it to her, and she was excited. And she smiled, and she just shrugged her shoulders and said, Aunt Erin, I didn't really know that there was a Hannah in the Bible. But what was funny for my husband and I is that she and her sister could name all of the Disney princesses, and we're so excited about these timeless stories that just girls the world over connect with, and really these stories that stand the test of time. And we thought, if girls today can be this excited about princesses, why not the women of the Bible?
So you call it superheroes. Mm-hmm. And what you're trying to do is instill into these young ladies the idea that they can be a superhero. Tell us how that happens.
I think too, and it starts with, this first book is all about prayer, but if you think about it, we can talk to God and He can hear us. And that is a supernatural, gifted ability. When you think about the struggles that girls face today and all of the challenges they're going to face at school, in their relationships, in the family home, it really makes sense that you would, as a parent, I know I want to equip my daughter with the knowledge that these gifts are readily available to her, that God gifted her with certain talents and abilities that she can call on anytime she needs them, and she can use them to battle back against what the world tells her she needs to be, any struggles that she faces, and really hone in on the person that God created her to be, which is a capable, strong, inwardly beautiful, purposeful young woman.
Oh, that's powerful. And I noticed you call it the Bell of Prayer, and the book series is actually the Bible Bells. Mm-hmm. What is it that created that situation, that scenario, the Bible Bells? I
think just the symbol for, today's girl receives all of these messages, right? She's out in the world, and she's bombarded from all sides by what it's going to take in the world's eyes for her to be beautiful. You need to be thin, you need to be tall, you need to wear makeup, you need to do all of these things and change certain things about you so that you can be beautiful in the world's eyes, when it's just not the case. So the word bell comes from the Latin bellus, meaning beautiful, and the focus of our series is to help shift that focus away from outer beauty that's so prevalent out in today's world, and get girls focused on what it means to have a beautiful heart.
You said something interesting when we were talking before, and you said there are so many programs and so many things that are out there to deal with the situation after it happens. But there are very few things that are addressing it kind of like preventative medicine. Well, I'll put it that way, because, I always say there's an old saying, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. Explain the difference and how this can be very effective as a precursor to potential issues that young girls may have?
Absolutely. I've spent a lot of time teaching the last several years. I've been a coach forever, and I've had a lot of opportunities to see girls in action, how they socialize emotionally, the way they carry themselves, their ability or the hindrances of their communication. And I think the earlier that you start this natural dialogue about these feelings that they're going to come up against in all different aspects of life, it starts early. Those feelings of inadequacy, those feelings of am I good enough, or why did God make me this way, and not understanding it. The goal of that would be to help a girl, who's just starting off and who's just starting to feel those things about herself, to be able to hold on to the truth that God does not make mistakes, and He made you exactly the way He wanted to, and He loves you, and He made you for a very unique and special purpose.
Yeah, I think society kind of teaches us that, that if you're not pretty, you're not talented, you're not this, you really don't have value. And I know the world of as a grandparent, and I raised 5 children, now I have like 11 or 12 grandchildren, another one on the way, that the world of children are very, very vicious. I mean, kids can be very, very mean. I remember my kids coming home and telling me, this one made fun of me about this one picked on me. We even live in a world that I remember seeing the other day that a child committed suicide because they'd been bullied and they'd been bullied and they'd been bullied. They even told the principal they'd been bullied, and the principal, to my shock, told them, look, you just need to live with it. And so, I was really, and I thought about your book, because if this young lady had seen your book, she may not have felt the inadequacies that she felt. She may not have been depressed to the point of taking her life.
I think for us too, that's why we chose to write this series, and especially, me being a new mom, with my history and just the struggles that I've had medically, I never thought marriage or a family was in my future. And now that I've got this young daughter who's about to be, she's so impressionable, and she's just this clean canvas right now. And I just, I spend a lot of time thinking about what the messages of this world are going to do to her, and how as a parent I can help her hold to what's true, and just to feel that confidence and peace that comes with, I am who God made me, and I know what I'm here to do.
Well, you have a website. It's BibleBells.com. Let's go to the website, because on the website you explain the book and the quality of the book, because the quality of this book is amazing. The artwork is amazing. And the book is something that I consider to be a treasure that can be passed down from generation to generation and be given from, to my children, and my children can give it to their children. And it can be something that can stay around for years to come as a tool to really help inspire and lead their life and give them guidance.
I think for us too, one thing we were really committed to is just the quality of this book. We hired a former Disney animator who worked on some major projects with Disney, and we just really wanted to create something that would help us compete on the same level as the rest of the world. There are some beautiful organizations and companies putting out just rich, vibrant stories and artistically and aesthetically ways that children can really connect with them. So we're trying to apply that same model to biblical truths so that parents and kids can be excited about sharing the Bible and its stories with their kids.
Well, let's watch the video that describes Erin's book.
Hey everybody, I'm Erin Weidemann, founder of Bible Bells and author of the series, The Adventures of Rooney Cruz. We really wanted to create an excellent product and reading experience for kids and parents. Quality is one of our highest priorities. We always say that if we're competing for our kids, we need to compete on the same level as the rest of the world. So we opted to hire a former Disney animator, and I'll let you take a look inside, so that we could bring this story to life. And we chose thick, glossy stock paper that would really help the illustrations pop and complement the incredible work that he did. The trim size for this book is 8.5 by 11, which is larger than your average children's book. And we are so proud to say that this book was written, designed, and printed in the United States of America, and we're super proud about that. So thanks so much for stopping by, and we hope you love this book.
And again, that the website is www.biblebells, and it's BELLES. And they'll post it up there for you to see. You can go to it, find out more information. But, Erin, this is just the first in a series, right? And, I want you to explain the importance of the series, because there's a meaning to the series. And each book is to teach a principle in a child's life that can help basically create their character as they grow to be a teenager and on to an adult. So explain a little bit about what your idea was in creating this series.
It's really about parents feeling empowered to values train in their own home. So as far as the series goes, our guiding verse for the series is Exodus 28:35, and the start of that verse says, "The sound of the bells will be heard." And as we, decided to launch this series and really get it out there to inspire families, we were holding on to that verse and just, I was playing around with it and just journaling and writing and just spending some time with that verse and really studying the women to choose for this series. And we settled on 5, and it's Hannah, Esther, Abigail, Ruth, and Deborah, all Old Testament women, but all of these women, they each represent one value, one virtue, one quality that it takes to be a beautiful person. And the journey of that, prayer, patience, bravery, loyalty, leadership, represent this journey that a girl can take to discover God's love in her own life and her purpose. And we call them all bells because, bell means beautiful, right? And the focus is that beautiful heart that we're trying to create for our kids. And I think the 5 of those women just do that so beautifully. They were simple. The stories are easy to understand. It's easy for a girl to read this story and be excited about it simply by watching, a modern day character experience a problem and then be able to dive right into the biblical story and pull out, a meaningful lesson or an encouraging phrase or something that she can directly watch. How did that bell react in that situation? And when things were crashing down on her, how was God showing up for her? And those examples are so crucial for today's girl. They're so impressionable. So the focus for this series is simply to guide parents along and to show these role models to their girls as a way for them to be excited about the Bible and to really be excited about who they were made to be.
Well, I love the way that you blended the modern day situation with the olden day principle, because, the situations haven't changed in 2,000 years.
Nope.
They are 4,000 years. They've remained the same. But, in reading this, the Adventures of Rooney, I assume that each one of these Rooney will go through some experience and some challenge. But, this was where she slipped, fell in the mud, and the other kids were making fun of her and even being mean to her. And it was interesting because that through prayer, they became her friends.
Well, a lot of times you want to fight that battle with your fists, or with your words, for example. It's really hard, especially for girls. They're trying to figure out how to be situational together, right? And to develop their relationships, and bullying and just that challenge starts really, really young, and it's easy to lash out, and it's easy to hold on to those feelings of anger and frustration in those moments. But the point of that story and the reason I got so excited in writing about how Rooney would react to that story, because the focus of that is that she would call on the Lord for guidance and help and support, and just trust that He would deliver her through that. He would give her the words that she could use to have a different exchange with those girls and make it positive. And it's a way to empower girls in those moments that can seem very helpless.
Abe, that is awesome. there's another interesting fact that we talked about, and I think it's very important because I never really thought about it, never really realized it in being a boy, is that, I grew up learning about David, I grew up learning about Samson, I grew up learning about Moses, I learned, Elijah, I grew up in church. Mm-hmm. So, my other job is a pastor, so I see, because we as pastors are constantly counseling, okay, and we see the struggles but you're right, in all the materials that I've seen come across as a pastor that have been brought to me, I've never had anything brought to me that presented women as heroes. And so this is fascinating. Tell me a little bit more about what you really hope to have these young girls get out of this, because I think that's the whole secret to this thing.
And I always come back to heroes. When I was young, I enjoyed reading, and I can remember reading things like Nancy Drew and the Babysitters Club, and they were all about just these female heroes, these regular girls who were solving mysteries, or in their friend group, kind of doing the right thing, and just I really gravitated toward those stories specifically because they were girls. There is so much out there for boys, and it's not that those stories aren't great and don't have a place and aren't really effective. It isn't that. It's that the struggle of a girl is unique and different, and girls need heroes, real role models, real beautiful examples of God's chosen people who were used by Him for a mighty purpose. And I think, if we can get girls excited about that, that's going to change the world.
I have a question. Growing up as a girl,
yeah,
when could you relate to David? Could you relate to Samson? As a girl?
I liked those stories, and I know those stories. If you asked me before I started this project, could you name, 12 men in the Bible? I could definitely name and tell you all of the stories of the men in the Bible. Were they stories that I hung on to and really cared about? No, not really. I know those stories, but I think there's something missing out there for girls to really take ownership of their education in the Bible, and their understanding the Word, and their being and cultivating that thirst for reading God's lessons and understanding the stories that are in His book. There is a place in the hearts and minds of girls for those women to make their mark.
Well, in talking earlier with you, and you're a teacher and you're an educator, mm-hmm. so every day you are making an impact into children's lives, and but what you said earlier is the amount of things that are presented to our young girls as what's important in life. Here's your role model. You need to dress sexy. You need to be a fashion statement. All of those things. Those really aren't what's important.
No, and I think that's, and just, some final thoughts too. Our series, we chose these women, again, for a very specific reason. Hannah, Esther, Abigail, Ruth, and Deborah, and their initials spell out the word heard. And it's always stuck with me. Once we settled on those 5 women, the ones that we really thought could make a difference in the lives of girls, the noise that girls hear today and the noise that the world is just throwing at them is so loud, and the messaging is so strong. The reason for this series, and HEARD, spelling out the word heard, is just that intangible, cherished blessing that you can hold on to, that God made you to make a different kind of noise, and it's different than the world's noise.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us. We're almost out of time. I want to encourage you, if you're a pastor, if you're an educator, this book is a valuable resource. If you're a grandparent, to pass on, to give to your grandchildren, this will impact and change the lives. The other books that are coming out, again, we'll put her website up there. Here it is. Hannah, the Bell of Prayer. The website, of course, is www.biblebells.com. You can order the book online. And also, the station has agreed to carry the book. So if you want to order the book through the station here, you can call the number on your screen. They'll take the order. The book will be shipped out to you. And I think what you brought and what you're bringing to the table is valuable, and I think it will impact and change the lives of millions of young girls around the world. I want to thank you for being here, and you're an incredible guest. You've done an incredible work, and praise God. He saved you from cancer because He had a divine purpose for you, and God's going to use you in a mighty way. Thank you for joining us today on Wisdom and Knowledge. I'm your host, Dr. Terry Warren, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.